Hello, welcome back to Chat About It, Don't Shout About It with me, Rachel, the Queen of the Woke, as crowned by one of my haters. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Switch on the notification bell so that you know I'm releasing another video. We're talking about the overnight ratings for Doctor Who, Dot and Bubble. Let's take a look. I'm on Doctor Who TV as per normal because for me they lay out the simplest chart for me to be able to read. Okay, so episode number 5, Dot and Bubble, has reached an overnight linear viewing of 2.12 million views, which is about 500,000 views down from the last overnight score, 2.62, which was 73 yards. Now, of course, if you liked the episode, that's absolutely fine. It's okay to like the episode. If you didn't like it, that's also absolutely fine. This is once again a significant drop in the viewing figures. I tried to find an article from the Radio Times, who's been quite a staunch defender of the viewing figures, but at the time of recording this video, there wasn't one released. So what is it that is putting people off with Doctor Who? That is a question that I really have. I know overnight ratings have changed. I know that we need to obviously wait for streaming figures and all of that to come in. That will tell us much, much more. But I do believe that there is a significance in the overnight viewing figures of an episode as well. So because I couldn't find anything from the Radio Times that may be a defender of it, I found a couple of interesting tweets to look at and an article also from Digital Spy to have a quick glance at. So this person wrote, "Me watching everyone completely missed that Dot and Bubble wasn't about Gen Z being on their phones or Gen Z, and was in fact about the dangers of white supremacists, echo chambers created by tech companies with equally racist algorithms. Hashtag Doctor Who." And then they've also put this part. When people are predisposed to dislike something, they rob it of any possibility of nuance because they believe it is incapable of nuance. Thus, they believe the most basic interpretation must be the right one, even when all the evidence contradicts this. RTD essentially tells everyone in Unleashed what the episode is about. They seem to think that it is not necessarily about that. Although he doesn't mention white supremacy, people are obviously drawing this into white supremacy. This person also goes on to say, "I'm going to defer the rest of this conversation to Black Hoovians, by the way. I'm not looking to be a loudmouth white lady about this. I'm just flawed at the simplistic interpretations of an episode clearly trying, in brackets, trying being the operative word, to say something more. Cheers, salute." And then she goes on to say, "I muted this thread, by the way," which potentially means that she's getting too many notifications that is perhaps upsetting her. She says, "I don't think the episode was not about our reliance on our phones. I just don't think it was a kids these days message about Gen Z." I also agree that I don't think it was necessarily a target of Gen Z. I don't think that it was. I am not saying the episode was a masterpiece or above criticism, which is true. Eat racists. So that's what that person says. Let me know what you think about that. This person has a different perspective of this. Rewatched Dot and Bubble, and I'm going to break down from my POV point of view as a Black fan why this episode didn't work for me and why it's an awful racism commentary. The whole "you should have noticed the cast was all white except for 15 had your bias is showing" doesn't work for a show that's predominantly been white for 60 plus years. D and B casting has been the default for most of the show, so it's not normal enough to be a racial limiters test. An example is the Matt Smith era. The only recurring character of color in Series 5, 2+ appearances, is Liz 10. Artie and Angie in Series 7, 0 in Series 6. RTD's own era isn't fully safe either. For many eps, Martha or Mickey were the only Black characters. Most POC are side characters or extras, which is true. White fans should be aware of the predominantly white casting of the show, but this is late in the game. This late in the game, it feels cheap. Now, I actually do agree with that because it had zero impact on me, the cast being white. And I feel like the racist commentary about the segregation and whichever, however you want to look at it at the end, we've already gone beyond that because we have integration instead of segregation. Carrying on, most of the show has gone through 100% white episodes, including fanfares, and it was never an issue back then because it was beneficial. Representing racists as cartoon caricatures severely underestimates the danger of white supremacy, IRL. White supremacy is system designed and constructed and rebranded over centuries. It is not accidental. People aren't racist because they don't know they're racist, because they do. So this particular thread is quite a long one, so I will link it below so you can go and read it for yourself. But what do you think of that? Doctor Who's just showed what the real problem is this season. This season of Doctor Who has had so much to offer so far. Every shot, the money sheen of Disney shooting Gatwa's Doctor is a fizzing delight to get into time traveling scrapes with, and there have been a couple of stellar episodes. But where this season has faltered so far is in its ability to generate villain dastardly enough to up the stakes and convince us the Doctor or humankind might actually be in any kind of peril. The closest we've come with Jinx Monsoon's Maestro was hampered by a meandering episode and a final face-off where their delivery was apparently done and undone on the underwhelming strike of a chord. The latest episode of Dr. Bubble adds to the roster of disappointing evildoers who have so far included a mortal booger and a grinning Welsh politician, a trope of giant bristling slugs. Yes, they do absorb people into them, but they don't even look particularly fast-moving slugs. They also look a bit cute. We spend the episode with the increasingly manic Lindy, who is a bit like a mindless sim in need of constant instructions on where to go from a bubble headset and what to do from the Doctor. But it's when Lindy starts to think and do things for herself. Imagine people thinking and doing things for themselves. She turns into the real villain of the episode, which wasn't that unsurprising, escalating from unlikable to diabolical, and might explain why this season has felt so bereft of iconic villains, despite a brief stint of running around the undercarriage of Fine Time, looking like Barbie and Ken cosplayers. Lindy throws the sweet bookworm Ricky September to the wolfish slugs. Then, once she has escaped the sealed world of Fine Time and finally meets the Doctor in person, she exposes the disturbing white supremacist dogma lying underneath the supposed peaches and cream utopia of 20-something influencers. Gatwa had confirmed ahead of this season that the show would make reference to the Doctor's race. We have to address those elements of the character now because Earth, unfortunately, is still quite a funny little place, he told Attitude. He added that it would be done in a really interesting way. In the face of Lindy's rejection of the Doctor's aid and company obliquely over his race, he hysterically laughs, screams, and cries. It's a raw and brilliantly well-acted moment, even if the rug pull does appear out of thin air in an episode which had so far chiefly concerned itself with lambasting vapid use for obsessive social media diets. In that moment, the Doctor's faith in humanity appears to waver. The end of Dot and Bubble shows a thread Russell T Davies has staunchly woven into this season and its bust baddies, that it is humanity that is the real villain. The storytelling hasn't always been seamless and can fall into the finger-wagging pit of sanctimony, but Davies deserves acknowledgement for even clunky attempts to tell sci-fi stories about the destructive ways we live now. It's just a shame Gatwa's first season has yet to serve up a good villain enough to forget that the likes of the Daleks and Cybermen have been exiled to storytelling Siberia, but there are still some episodes to go. What do you think is causing the viewing to drop off? Let me know what you think. Chat about it, don't shout about it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you would like to. I'm on the Sensesphere tonight at 7 p.m. talking about Dot and Bubble. Feel free to come and join me there. If not, I will see you in the next video. Thanks very much for watching. Bye-bye.